Hi, so I'm Jade Edwards. I'm Head of Insights at Zapmap, and I'm here today to talk about charging electric vehicles on the public network. So firstly, I wanted to start with a couple of questions, so a bit of a show of hands. Can anyone put up their hand if they actually own an electric vehicle? That's a fully electric vehicle, no engine at all, just a battery. Yeah, there's a few hands up there. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'd expect. At the moment, only about 2% of cars on the roads are fully electric vehicles, but that's growing really rapidly. There's actually over 1 million fully electric vehicles on the road today, and 16% of all new vehicles being sold at the moment are fully electric vehicles. So they are growing in number, but in terms of kind of what's out there at the moment, you would expect about 2%. So whether you've got an EV or you've not got an EV, I've got another question for everybody. So I've got a few options here, and I just want to see a show of hands for each. So what's your perception of the public charging network in the UK at the present? Do you think there are too many chargers out there? Anybody think that? Nope. Do you think there are enough chargers out there to meet the current demand? Got a few hands for that. Do you think there aren't enough chargers out there to meet current demand? A few more hands for that. Or do you have no idea if there are enough chargers out there to meet demand? Yeah, that's about what kind of I expect. So this is basically why Zapmap exists. It's to help EV drivers search, plan and pay for charging on the public network. So what do we actually do? So we take geospatial data from all the charge point operators who are out there running these charge points at present. And there's over 100 companies that are doing that today in the UK, which makes it really difficult for EV drivers to actually find chargers and decide where to go and charge their vehicle. So from Zapmap, we've been going since 2014, so right at the beginning of the kind of electric revolution, and we pull all that data together and push that through into one app so that EV drivers can go and look for chargers. Some of these brands you will recognise as they've come from the more traditional kind of fuel forecourt side of things, so BP Pulse and Shell Recharge have come from that background. You might also recognise brands like MFG because they've proliferated across a lot of fuel forecourts. They're like the bright blue livery that you'll see big kind of banks and coverings for. But a lot of these brands, if you don't have an EV or you don't work in the EV world, you've probably never heard of. So it is quite a complex situation for EV drivers out there today, and Zapmap is there to try and make that charging simple. So we enable drivers to search for charge points near where they are. We allow them to plan routes. So if they wanted to go from Bristol to Manchester, they'd plug in which type of EV they've got. They'd say how much charge they've got and what they want to do on the way. And then basically Zapmap will enable them to choose charging routes depending on the type of charger that they want to use. So a few kind of stats about Zapmap. So we've had over 1.5 million downloads of the app. There are 1 million EVs on the road, as I say. And we've got 800,000 users that have actively registered with Zapmap and registered a vehicle. 330,000 of those are using the app on a monthly basis. So it's a really active community, and EV drivers are really finding benefit from the app. In terms of what they're actually looking at, so when they're trying to find chargers, there are 61,000 charging devices across the UK at the moment, and that's like physical boxes, so what you would actually see as the kind of physical box. That's over 32,000 different charging locations, so you often have multiple boxes in one place, and that's kind of in comparison to there being about 8,000 petrol forecourts out there in the UK at the moment. So on Zapmap, we're mapping, we estimate 95% of all those 32,000 locations, and for 75% of them, we're also getting a feed every 1 to 5 minutes from the charge point operator that tells us not only where the charge point is and its attributes, but whether it's in use, whether it's available, whether it's out of service. So how does this work in practice? Yes, my video works. Okay, so here's the app. And basically, if you went into this as an EV driver, you could go in, zoom out from where you are. All these balloons are the charging locations. The dark pink ones are where these are the fastest chargers. So the ones that you would want to use if you wanted to top up your car in kind of under an hour. So sort of typically kind of 40 minutes. We've got coverage over there in Europe, but if we zoom back into the UK, you could then go right down and go, right, I'm in Bristol, as we were when I took this video, and then you could have a look and see, okay, what chargers are near me? The yellow ones are the slower ones, so they could be on-street lamppost kind of chargers that you might need to leave your vehicle overnight. Those pink ones are the faster ones. And then once you go into that, we've then pulled in the data from the charge point operators, we've harmonized it, we've standardized it, because as you would imagine, every operator gives us data in a different format. So we have to pull all that together to make it all clean and standardized for EV drivers so they can really understand what's happening. They can see on there whether they can pay using our app at this particular charge point. They can see the rating that this charge point has got for its reliability. And then if they can pay, they can actually click and charge now and do it from the app. So that's one use case, and that's where the app started. We created Zapmap, we created it for EV drivers, but then what else can you do with this rich geospatial data that we've managed to gather from across the industry? So that's my area of the business. I look at how we can pull all that data together and deliver unrivaled EV data and insights out to industry and to the media. So we've created 2 products that I'll talk about today. The first one is monitor locations, and that is literally all those balloons that you saw on the app. It's pulling all that location data in and helping industry understand what's the power rating of all these chargers that are going in. An on-street 5 kilowatt lamppost charger that takes 7 hours to charge a car, very different proposition to a 350 kilowatt charger that you might find at a service station on the motorway services and you're charging up in 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So people want to understand what's happening there. They want to understand which charge point operators are rolling out in what areas and what type of chargers. And they also want to understand, are all these chargers at supermarkets? Are they all at motorway services? Are they all on street? How does that rollout look? The second area is monitor utilization. And so for that, we've got 75% of all these charge points pushing us these updates, 1 to 5 minute updates, telling us what's happening. We're harvesting all that data and analysing all those sessions. So we're looking at over 1 million sessions per month and then figuring out, okay, how long's the average charging session? Across different types of the power ratings, across the different types of locations where people are stopping. How many charging sessions are happening per day? Is it 5 sessions per day? Is it 12 sessions per day? Trying to really understand that and helping the industry understand that. And then working through as well, what's the power that's getting transferred? If we're working with utilities companies, they typically want to understand what would we expect if we've got these big charging stations in our area, what sort of power is going to be going through those and being pushed through to the cars. Crucially then also trying to understand pinch points. So it's not a flat situation that these chargers are just constantly being used at the same rate. There are peaks and troughs and days, weeks, months when you see higher utilisation and kind of thinking about managing queues or managing that utilisation. So the way we've put that data together and pushed that out to our clients, we've used Carto for this. So if we look at our monitor locations product, so similar to our app in that we've got all the locations mapped on there, but as you can see with the widgets on the right-hand side, we've actually got those so that our clients can then see actually what's happening if they look at a particular part of the country. How many devices are around there? What type of devices? They can then start to actually filter on that and say, actually, I'm only interested in looking today at the fastest type of chargers, the ones that are used more for that en route stop. And they can even then click through and go, I'm actually just interested in one particular competitor today, and go and have a look at that. Now, the data that we show on this map, we've just tried to keep it really clean, so we're showing very little information on each of those spots, but crucially for our clients, they can then download this data or they can access it through an API. And that would give them, for each single location, we break it down to the most granular we can do, which is down to the connector level. So basically every box that you see has probably got more than one connector, and each one of those could charge. So we look at it at the connector level, and our clients can then export and go, okay, I can see exactly how many connectors they are, I know exactly what power rating they are, I know whether this device offers contactless or not, I know whether it's actually a taxi-only device or not, and I know who operates it and what type of location it's in. So it really enables our clients to understand the market around EV charging. The second thing, and this is one that's in development, so this is a demo version, is monitor utilization. So for this, what we've done is we've taken all those sessions and taken that session data and pushed it in to Carto. So here you can see we've got these lines across the bottom, which are basically our daily charges. And if you look at this area of the UK, the green line is right there at the bottom. That's the number of charges on slow devices, so the kind of lamppost chargers. This sort of part of the Midlands of the country, that's the area it doesn't see so much. If you see the little dip towards the end on the right-hand side, that's Christmas Day. No one goes out public charging on Christmas Day. Unsurprisingly, got better things to do. But if you zoom into London, then you can see when this reloads that actually it will flip and the green line goes to the top, because in London, we've got loads of on-street kind of lamppost chargers. And so the session volume is really high in London for those kind of chargers, when compared to the rest of the UK, it's a completely different balance. So it's this kind of thing that enables clients to then see, okay, how are these chargers getting utilised? If I'm deploying my network and I'm deploying these type of chargers, what can I expect? And so that's what we're kind of bringing together in monitor utilisation. So thank you very much for listening. That was a real kind of whistle-stop tour of Zapmap and Zapmap Insights. If anyone's got any questions, great, or come and see me afterwards, and I will be at the after party as well. Thank you.